So, today we're going to be talking about the Samsung Galaxy S6 and see how this particular phone holds up in 2025. Now, the Galaxy S6 came out back in 2015, and this phone was in a direct competition with the iPhone 6. And let me tell you, this was when Apple and Samsung were probably at their peak. Both companies introduced new designs, and it was just an exciting time to be alive in. What's special about this particular device is it introduced a lot of firsts for Samsung, but they also removed a lot of things which were sort of controversial and hold this phone back from being perfect. And that's why I like the Samsung Galaxy S7 more than this one. But I think in a lot of ways, this phone worked so the Galaxy S7 could run. So from that side, it's going to be interesting to see if a phone this old can still be usable in 2025. Now, starting off from the outside of this device, it's got a surprisingly good display. It's basically giving you a 5.1-inch Super AMOLED display and it's 1440p, but since it's a smaller display, the pixel density is really good. On top of that, it has a back glass which is Gorilla Glass 4. But having a problem with the glass back is that it can crack easily, but I mean, it definitely did look better than the Galaxy S5. And it has substantially less bezels, and it really was a good looking phone. Now you have to remember, at the time when this phone came out, the iPhone was considered as the premium phone. And the Galaxy, the S series of phones at the time didn't really give us that. They were built completely out of plastic, removable backs, removable batteries, but it wasn't even close when it came down to design and build quality. Apple was just better. But with the Galaxy S6, this completely turned the page, from Samsung. It was a really big upgrade and a really good upgrade coming from the Galaxy S5 from a build quality standpoint. But it was a completely different upgrade when it came down to this particular phone from feature standpoint. And we'll talk about that in a second. But at least on the front side, it was a really good looking device. On the back side, like I said, Samsung basically moved away from the plastic design entirely to this metallic aluminum type of layout. And like I said before, this was a really good choice in some ways, but in some other ways it wasn't. One really big thing that Samsung ended up doing here was that they ended up actually removing the SD card slot. It did come back in later devices like the Galaxy S7 and S8, but unfortunately we don't really get that capability here, and I was really saddened by it. Well, they did give us the glass back though, which was really nice. I loved having the glass back. It made the phone feel so much more premium, and it really was a big upgrade coming from, that plastic design build. Unfortunately, they did remove the removable battery, so we can no longer easily replace battery. I really do wish that Samsung would have done a better job, because the legacy of the Samsung Galaxy S would have maybe been a little bit better than what it is now. I mean, let's be honest, Samsung had a few problems around this time, especially with the Note 7 controversy. So from that side, that kind of covers it up for the most part. Now, the camera on this phone was giving you a 16 megapixel camera on the back and a 5 megapixel selfie camera on the front. And while I was doing my research and I found out that the Galaxy S6 had a 16 megapixel camera while the Galaxy S7 Edge had a 12 megapixel camera, I was generally scratching my head. And to be fair, this camera is good. It can even capture video in 4K 30 frames per second, but don't be fooled by the megapixel count. The S7 Edge is still a better camera since it has a better sensor, better image processing, better portrait mode, and also performs better in low light, but the S6 still has a pretty decent camera. I think that is another pretty cool thing about this phone, is that the cameras for 2025 still hold up for the most part and give you acceptable results. I mean, they're nothing mind-blowing, but I'll be honest, I did not expect much, but these phones keep surprising me. But enough with the positives, let's talk about the software on this device. It's not supported, obviously, and is stuck on Android 7, I think. So when it comes down to its software longevity, this is a very important thing to keep in mind here as well. If you're trying to get a phone that is going to be giving you long-lasting supported device, this thing is not going to be giving you any sort of advantage when it comes down to that. This type of device is going to be giving you an outdated type of experience in almost every single way you can imagine. So there's just no point in getting this phone. The app support is pretty dead for Android 7. YouTube doesn't work. I think a couple of apps barely work and are still supported. Pretty sure Android 9 is the last version and minimum requirement that still has proper app support. So I'd recommend you to pick up a device that at least has Android 9. So it will kind of make a lot more sense to go ahead and buy something like the Galaxy S10, S20 or S21 instead. Those types of phones are giving you a much more modern Android experience. So yeah, the stock firmware on this particular device gives you a bad experience in 2025. However, my Galaxy S6 in particular is actually running Android 9 with One UI. And as crazy as that sounds, it's definitely a game changer. It's a custom ROM ported from the Galaxy Note 8 and it works brilliantly. And basically all the apps work on it now. So let me know if you guys want a full video on that, and maybe I'll tell you guys my experience with the Galaxy S6 on Android 9 One UI. So if you are planning to install a custom ROM on it, you might even be able to get Android 13 using Lineage OS, therefore extending its live support. So it's kind of tricky because it's not completely worthless when you are planning to install a custom ROM. Now, on top of that, when it comes down to the performance, this phone is giving you the Exynos 7420 chipset with 3GB of RAM. And let me make it clear, this device is not a smooth performing phone. There are way better devices to go and buy from a performance standpoint. This phone heats up like an oven when you try to play any sort of games. It's fine for watching YouTube and scroll through social media, but any high intensive task and will start heating up. So it really does not make sense to go ahead and buy a device like this. But let's assume for a second you get a Galaxy S6. You have a phone with decent cameras, but it's on Android 7, so you can't really run apps. So you install a custom ROM. App support is back, but now performance isn't great. But then again, you just need a phone to watch YouTube, scroll through social media, and make phone calls. Great. Now this phone is perfect for you. But wait a second, there's one last problem with this phone that annoys me so much, and that is the battery life on this thing. This phone never had great battery, even when it first came out. It has a 2550 mAh battery, and let me tell you, it's absolutely terrible from a 2025 standard. This phone drains battery so quickly. I'm not even exaggerating when I say you might have to charge this phone multiple times in a single day. And like I always say, you can always get a new battery installed in it, but even then, don't expect drastic improvements. So yeah, it just makes it difficult to recommend buying this particular type of device in 2025. So now, the big question is, does this Galaxy S6 hold in 2025? Well, there's a lot about this phone that surprised me and even impressed me, but unfortunately, 10 years later, it's not worth it anymore. I recommend getting a Galaxy Note 8 over this if you want the bare minimum Android experience, but definitely would recommend something like that Galaxy S10, 20 or S21. Those phones give you a much better and modern Android experience in 2025. But if you guys still own a Galaxy S6 for some reason, then I would recommend installing a custom ROM on it and just see if you can repurpose an old smartphone like I did to mine. Let me know in the comments down below if you guys would like a full review on this custom ROM Android 9 Galaxy S6 next. Well, that pretty much covers it up. If you guys have any more questions, leave it down in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.